for example, Canada have to aim at, but Canada will have their eyes on the gold medal race. Michael Foley, Derek G, Mathias Guillemette and Riley Pickrell. Now, I wonder what they will have learned from the strategy deployed by the women's team pursuit, where it did not go all their way at all. They started with a very aggressive strategy, with one rider going off very, very hard, faster indeed through the opening, almost a kilometre than the Australian pace, and then bit by bit thereafter it slowly unravelled to the point where the three riders then were split asunder in the closing kilometre. So far from ideal for the women. What can the men do for Canada? On their day, they're amongst the very best in the world, the Canadian squad. With the exception of Denmark and Italy in terms of the pecking order in the world, so the fastest men's team pursuit squads, we've got some of the fastest. And this competition is going to be electric. Canada hoping to play their part. Fantastic little bit of artwork on the helmet of that rider who's going to lead them off.
It's a huge effort to get the gears that these teams are riding off the line. It looks like they're going quite slowly because the leg speed is quite slow. They're actually getting up to a speed very quickly, and they'll be well up to over 60 kilometres an hour after the first lap.
Yeah, huge power off the line there. Stings the legs a little bit, and then they get into the aero position. Get comfortable. They were very, very fast into formation there. They look very aerodynamic.
Mathias Guillemette, sorry, Rochelle, is the rider who's doing the first turn on the front.
Yeah, he is flying. He's absolutely flying to the point where he put some distance between himself and the second rider, which is not a good sign.
Well, unlike his female counterpart in the women's team pursuit, he does slot on and will take another turn at least on the front when he makes his way up to put his nose in the wind as they pass through 875 metres, and they're already 3 seconds up on the time of India.
And you can see their coach in the middle telling them that they're down on their own schedule, so we'll keep an eye on that. I'm sorry, I'll correct myself. They were up on their, they went out very, very hard. They were up on their schedule, and now they're slightly down on their own schedule. So much faster than the team of India, but a little bit slower than what the coaches expected from them.
You see the technical aspect of team pursuing now. So you see the team on the black line around the bend, and then just drifting up towards the red line on the straights, the home and the back straight, just to try and kind of flatten out that line that the riders are trying to follow, and just makes it a little bit easier to keep speed.
Well, the coach is happy now. They are dead on schedule for what their target was today.
Yep, bang on schedule. She is standing on that finish line with her arm outstretched to indicate that whatever strategy they had in mind, they are matching it and meeting it, and Canada are looking very, very well drilled and impressive here. A colossal difference at the moment on the track through the halfway point between Canada and India. That's to be expected. Canada are going to look to measure themselves specifically against New Zealand, England, Wales and Australia. And still they continue to match and hold that schedule.
Yeah, very interesting that most of the teams' coaches are normally walking up towards the bend or down towards the other bend, and the Canadians have stayed exactly on their schedule as they drop down to 3 riders.
Yeah, Mathias Guillemette has done what was required of him to get this trio of riders to the point where they can take it home. 2,700 metres done, 1.25 to go, and they are 10 seconds up on India at the moment, which puts them roughly on course for a sub 4 minutes team pursuit.
Well, that's what their goal will be today, to ride under 4 minutes. Looks like they are right on schedule to do that. Be very close. Ooh, a little bit of effort being put in by the last rider. They can't afford to lose their last rider. This is a very, very dangerous situation for the Canadians. This could really cost them the gold medal ride.
Do they know that he's been dropped? I think now the penny's dropping, that their third rider has been dropped and gapped, and they're piling the pressure on at the front. And Canada once again, just like in the women's team pursuit, have blown apart in the final kilometre, and that has gone disastrously wrong for a Canadian team that were looking so good up until that point, where, look at them, 3 individual riders on the track. They've blown themselves to pieces there.
Oh, the coach is not happy with the hands in the air. There's nothing they can do now. 1 lap to go, and it's the 3rd rider that has to get to the finish line.
Well, it happens from time to time, but for one nation to have had that happen in both qualifications is, frankly, a little bit disastrous, as Canada come in bits and pieces to the finish line, having looked so good. Their time is outside 4 minutes, 4:03.618. Barney, it's painful to watch when that happens, isn't it?
It's really painful, especially when you looked at their strategy and it looked okay. And I think it was down to that, the rider who got distance off the back, their change, they went up very sharply and came down onto the back of the line. And when you're at the back of the line in the team shoot, that's the worst place to be, because that's where you have to produce the most amount of power in the line to stay on the team, and then that decreases as you go further up the line. So if you're in rider 2 in the team, so you're in the worst place when you change. You go straight to the hardest point following the line in the back, having to produce the most power. So if you're in any sort of trouble coming off the front, and if someone just squeezes that bit too much on the front, then you're in big trouble.
And it's so difficult to call out to your teammate to let them know that you've dropped the wheel. It happens so quickly, and obviously with all the sound and atmosphere here and those helmets that make it extremely difficult to hear, it can take a lap or 2 before they realise they've got a rider off the back. But something they need to do in training is to actually work out a communication system where they can get that information. If they only have 1 coach on the track, maybe they should have 2 or 3 places that can give an indication, although they'd have to be on the inside of those barriers. So very difficult thing to judge, but not looking too happy about that little mistake.
Yeah, a few words being exchanged.